Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. My name is JC. If you haven't seen my face before, today's video is episode 2 of my Read and Watch series. This is Harry Potter Part 2. Let's be honest, guys. I've been procrastinating this one. I've been trying to get out of it for quite a while. I mean, not because I didn't want to do it, because I literally love Harry Potter and I want to read this series, but the intimidation of those 3 books and how big they are and the commitment of filming for it was a lot for me. Several times was I like, hey, is there like maybe a different one that you'd want to see in between this first part and the second part? Crickets. You guys gave me crickets. You said Harry Potter Part 2 or nothing. So here we are. I am diving into book 5 today. So I have books 5, 6, and 7, and then obviously there's 4 movies associated with those. So we're diving in to Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix today. Now this is a point where I haven't read any of these books before. Like in the past, I have read books 1 through 4, like kind of several times, and then I'd stop, and I've seen the movies like millions of times. So this will be the first time that I've read this book, so I'm kind of interested to see like that part of it, and I really loved doing part 1 of this video because it was fun to be a part of a world that I love so much and be able to like directly see the differences and what I kind of wish could be a part of the movies and then what wasn't, and kind of understanding maybe why they left certain things out. It's just fun to think about. So let's start book 5. Okay, it's been a little bit. I'm going to try to just like give updates as they make sense, essentially. So I'm about 100 pages in. I'm on chapter 6. Right off the bat, like, I say right off the bat, like 100 pages. But in this book, I mean, everything's relative. Like, it's such a big book. So the first 100 pages is like nothing. So much has already happened that I definitely don't remember happening in the movie. So I'm like now like extra excited to like finish this and then watch this movie. Because I'm curious to see like what isn't in the movie that I wish was, because there's definitely stuff in here. Mainly I'm thinking about his aunt, like his mom's sister, and I know I've seen like online about things where certain like scenes were filmed and then not put in the movies, but I wish we had more of her, because I feel like in the books like her emotions are showed more of like the subtle like soft points, if you will. So I'm just like, I'm interested. Like, I loved the beginning of this where Harry talked a lot more with the Dursleys and how they had a lot more like dialogue about Voldemort and the Dementors. And then now I just wrapped up the like introduction of the Order of the Phoenix, and I know like all the guards that just came to get Harry and like a whole group of people. I'm like, wow, that's a lot. So I am really liking this so far. Like, I mean, really liking this. I think this is probably like the first book of the series so far that I've been like, okay, like I think I'm liking this more than the movie at this point because of how much more I'm getting from this. I think in the first 4, they do follow things pretty like identically, but I think the bigger the book, obviously less can be included. So I think this is where I really start to get so much more that isn't in the movies and that really plays an important role. Does that make sense? I feel like that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to continue reading this. I'll give you another update as it makes sense, but yeah, I'm loving this. Okay, I think it's been like 2 days since I last updated you guys. I updated you when I was around page 100, I think. So now I'm at page 300, and oh my gosh. Guys, I'm just loving this book so much. I think it's definitely my favorite book so far. The events of book 4 and movie 4, or maybe that's how it's gonna be. Because movie 4, it's always had my heart, guys. Like, always. I know doing this series allowed me to have a different and better appreciation for book and movie 3, but still movie 4 is like my favorite. This though, I think I'm gonna have probably like a different like favorite book than movie, because I think I'm liking this book so much more, and I mentioned it before, but it's just the fact that we're starting to get so much more than we'll get in the movies at this point. Like how do you fit that into one movie? Well, I mean, they could have, guys. I would have liked a 4-hour movie and been fine, but whatever, to each their own. So I've definitely loved all of this so far, the first 300 pages. I will probably only be able to read about 100 pages today. It's a normal work day, so I can't just sit around and read all day, but I did at least want to hop on and give you guys a little reading update. Okay, I'm not sure of my last update, but guys, when I tell you that I was sat for 325 pages of this book. Yeah, no, we just finished Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Holy crap. That's kind of just my initial response. I did take various notes on my phone of things that jumped out to me as I was reading the book and I was thinking about the movie. So we're gonna see how those compare when I actually watch it. I'm thinking of watching it tonight because it's just like fresh on my mind, and I love it when I'm able to do that. Like, I noticed that when I had finished the book and was able to quickly watch the movie, like, just things jumped out to me more. So I want to do that tonight, but oh my gosh. Harry Potter number 5 is read. And now, well, let's go watch the movie. Okay, I just ate some dinner. I have my blanket. I'm going to set up on the couch. We're starting this movie. Okay, is this the best lighting? I mean, no, but it's like 9 p.m. What am I gonna do? I just finished the movie and I have thoughts. Okay, so I started writing notes when I was reading, right? I wrote notes of just things I noticed that I thought I knew were different in the movie already, or things that I was interested in seeing how the movie adapted. And then when it came to the movie, I did the same kind of thing, or at least I made notes of things that jumped out to me. So I'm going to go through these. I'm going to ignore the ones that are kind of small. Who really cares if someone's shirt was a different color? But I want to focus on the ones that were changed in a way that really did play a role, I guess, in how the movie was portrayed. So starting out, oh boy. We have the beginning scene, right, where the whole Dursley family is way more involved, and we have that initial conversation, and I really liked that because a part of that conversation is where Aunt Petunia receives a letter, and when you're reading the book, you're like, that's so sus, because it's a letter that's saying, you'll remember what's in the letter, or you remember something about the letter that was originally received by Aunt Petunia when Harry was first dropped on their doorstep. But then everyone's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, Harry stays, because Harry's like getting kicked out, right? Because he like did this whole Dementor fuss. So the Dursleys are like, no, you're out of here. And then Petunia gets that letter and she's like, no, he stays. And everyone's confused. But then at the end, it's acknowledged by Dumbledore what that letter is and like what it was representing, and that he was the one that sent the Howler and everything, and it like tied together this nice thing that Petunia already knew about the Dementors, like that they existed and everything. And I feel like that was a nice plot line. Like, Aunt Petunia's overall character in the series is not the same, I guess. Like, they take out so much of her in the movies. Yeah, it's something you miss by not reading the book. But that was just like a smaller plot point that I thought was like gonna be small but effective if it was actually shown in the movies, and it wasn't. The fact that Harry is just talking about Voldemort with the Dursleys as well, that was insane. Like in the book, like they're just having full-blown conversations about Voldemort. But obviously that's just like skipped over in the movie. Like the beginning scene with the Dementors, blink of an eye. I'm like, I feel like this was a bigger thing, but okay. The whole prefect thing. Ron and Hermione, like the prefect stuff was just not acknowledged in the movie, which I'm actually very happy about. I think that that would have just taken away from the movie. Like you only have so much to show in the movie, and by allowing the prefect plot line to go through, I feel like it just would have been a waste of time. So I'm glad that they chose to just like skip over that. Quidditch wasn't even a thought. Not even a thought in the movie. Over Umbridge's head. And she had the opportunity, right? Because in the book, Harry and the twins get like kicked off Quidditch team forever. What? Like that was terrifying in the book, right? Like that was just like, oh my god, Harry can no longer play Quidditch. But in the movie, it's like, is Quidditch even played at Hogwarts? Like that was weird to me. I mean, it didn't really take away major from the plot, but it was just something that I was like, wait, I don't remember that being a part of the movies. And then when I watched the movie, I was like, wait, they don't even talk about Quidditch at all in this movie, which I just thought was kind of weird and interesting. Okay, yeah. Oh, I skipped over. Sorry. I wrote "Have a biscuit, Potter" by McGonagall. That's just like an iconic line from the book that I feel like is talked a lot about on the internet. And it's when Harry backtalks to Umbridge, which we hate Umbridge here, guys. We hate her. But when he talks back to her, and then McGonagall's like, you talk back? Like, this is what you said? Have a biscuit. And I'm like, no, I love that. Like, I wish we would have gotten that scene in the movie. It's unfortunate that we didn't. Man, I'm still missing my man Peeves. I noted that because we got a Peeves scene in the book. I'm like really starting with the book stuff, like on my book notes. But, Peeves, man. Still wish that man had a speaking part. Still wish it. Okay, Percy. I'm glad his role just out of here. Out of here. He was in like 2 scenes, no lines, exactly what he deserves. We don't like Percy. We don't like him. He's just kind of a jerk. And so I'm glad that plot line all throughout the book is just taken out in the movies. We don't need that. That's all we need to say. Okay, guys, this Cho plot line. Can I just say, it just makes me feel so weird. Like, in the book, you get more of it, and it's definitely kind of portrayed differently. So, like, in the book, they had this Valentine's Day at Hogsmeade. It was just uncomfortable to read about. Cho was freaking out. I mean, the woman's going through it, right? Like, I should say girl. Like, she's a girl. Going through it, going through emotions. It was just weird. I was like, what is this interaction? And then you still have the same thing where in the book and in the movie, they kiss. And I was just, like, uncomfortable. Like, in the movie, I was uncomfortable because it's actually on screen. In the book, it's just, like, kind of fades to black. And then, like, the next conversation, I think Ron and Hermione asked if they kissed. And he was like, yeah. Okay. This is something that happened in both places. But, like, can we just talk about it for a minute? Umbridge catches Harry when he was like trying to talk with Sirius to the fire. But the whole thing is like she was gonna use that curse, the Cruciatus curse, on a student. And she was like, well, you know, like if Fudge doesn't see it, he doesn't need to know, it's fine. And I'm like, oh my god. What? I don't know. I was just so shook by that. She's like, I have no choice. Thank God for Hermione saving the day. But holy smokes. Okay, a big thing, right? This big thing is the whole prophecy orb situation. So it's played out so differently. I would say the last like 20%, no, 10% of the book, 10 to 20% of the book is so different than the movie. So the whole thing is the Order of the Phoenix, they're telling Harry, we think that Voldemort is after something he didn't have before. Harry's like, a weapon? And they're like, yeah, sure. And so ultimately we learn that it's the prophecy. And basically Voldemort wants to know what the prophecy actually is this time around, right? Like he tried when Harry was a baby and he didn't fully know it. And so then he's like, this time around I want to know. So I guess there's an orb at the Ministry of Magic, and they are protecting it, and the only people that can get the orb is like whoever's involved in that prophecy. But the thing is, Harry had no idea what the hell this orb was, and so they're like, Harry, this has your name, right? And in the movie, Harry picks up the orb, and then the orb starts telling him the prophecy. Okay, so now kind of others around him could also hear that. I mean, like, Ron and Hermione were not that far away. So he learns of this, he's like, huh, like, I have no idea what this is, and now it's speaking, and it's like, clearly this is a prophecy situation. And then, like, we have the whole battle stuff, right? Which we'll get back to that. So in the book, Harry's like, what is this? I don't know what this orb is. And then he has like a battle, and like the Death Eaters are there. They're like, that's a prophecy. We want it because, you know, Voldemort wants it. And ultimately that battle scene happens. And then at the end is when Harry's in Dumbledore's office, and Dumbledore tells him everything. Because Dumbledore is like, no, I know that the orb was like shattered and broken forever and ever in the Ministry of Magic, but that was just like a carbon copy. Like, it's just like a copy paste. The thing is, the prophecy was told to one person who can remember it and recite it perfectly. And Harry's like, what? Who? And he's like, me. He's got 2 thumbs and knows this prophecy, this guy. And I'm like, okay. So he, like, has this whole deep conversation with Harry, who, mind you, is freaking the freak out in the book and is so calm, cool, collected in the movie. Weird. But he just learns about this prophecy in such a different way, and Dumbledore is able to just disclose so much more to him. He's like, I should have told you all this stuff before, which, like, duh. Yeah. But I think I really liked how it was portrayed in the book, because it made the conversations with Dumbledore just make so much more sense. And Dumbledore being that key piece of like, well, I know the prophecy because I was told it, even though the orb is now shattered, that prophecy still lives with someone. Like, I feel like that's important, right? Like, that's important stuff. Like, in the movie, the orb shatters, and it's like, oh, well, thank God Harry heard it before it shattered. That was just so different, and I really liked how it was portrayed in the book. And in the movie, I was just like, what in tarnation is happening here? The orb thing, we had to like skip parts and stuff just because I wanted to talk about all the orb things in one go. But this whole fight scene, serious. So the thing is, I read the book right first today, so I'm like, holy crap. That hurt, because I already knew it. So then when the movie started and Harry first saw Sirius and gave him a hug, I started to cry. Yeah. I'm sorry if I'm like missing certain stuff, or I'm just gonna be bouncing around. But there's just like so much that's different that I feel like is worth acknowledging. Okay, I wrote in the book, Voldemort literally uses the Avada Kedavra. Sorry. Curse on Harry, and then like Dumbledore did some magic to protect Harry. Now that was in the book. In the movie, that whole scene where Voldemort comes in is just so different between him and Dumbledore. I mean, I say so different. Yeah, I mean, it's different. Like, what? That was just like crazy. Like, I was just so shook that Voldemort came in using that death spell. I was like, he came in swinging. But you know who came in swinging in the movie? Sirius comes in. He says, don't mess with my godson, in decks Lucius Malfoy. I screamed. I was like, are you magic, folks? You're a wizard and you just decked someone. It was so iconic. Like, overall, there's just so many different things that happen from the book to the movie here. I mean, it's a huge, huge book, 870 pages or something. So I get why things had to be adapted different, and some of them worked out fine. Like, I got why we skipped over other things, but there was a lot that I was just like, I don't like how really that, I like the book more. And I just feel like that's a huge growth for me, because usually I'm like, yeah, the movie's fine, I liked it. But now reading this book, this is kind of the first one that I've experienced, like, just from a book to movie adaptation, that I would be like, no, the book was better. And that makes me feel like a real reader, so I'm proud of myself. Now, oh my gosh, on to book 6. I could talk about this book to movie adaptation for forever. Like, I have so many notes. And it's a 20-minute clip, so sorry about that. Good morning, it's the next day, and guys, I have quite the update because I listened to this while I was working yesterday. I only have this much left. Like, no, I flew by this book, and obviously I'm not able to just bust out a camera at work and be like, hey, reading update. Like, no, I'm in an office. Like, that would be a little weird. So I'll just make a couple comments on my reading experience so far. I feel like the main discussions really happen once I've watched the movie and I can discuss more of, like, the differences. But I definitely don't like this more than book 5 as far as just like the stuff that's happening in this book, but I've really enjoyed it. I've liked seeing the extra details that I know I don't get in the movie, but still just kind of remembering everything that goes on at this point. I really like how things are being revealed. I'm interested to see kind of how that lines up with the movie because things definitely are coming back to me the more I read, but things just also make a lot more sense now because I haven't gotten to this point in the movies in a while. I've never read this book, so when it comes to like the Horcruxes, I don't think that's even said on the back here, so I'm trying to look for the word, but I feel like that's what they're called. Like, I don't know why I'm like blinking so hard right now, but just like the introduction of those and like what's already been destroyed and what's still out there and Dumbledore's involvement and those memories being exposed to Harry, like it's just things make a lot more sense this time around, and I think that's greatly helped to not me just like sitting back enjoying the story, but rather like actually understanding what's going on more. So I've liked reading this. I'm definitely going to finish this today. My goal is to finish this, and then if I'm up for it, we will watch the movie tonight. So I'm very excited. I feel like obviously we are really getting through this series, and we'll just see how it finishes up. This is quite the shot. I mean, I just showered. I haven't brushed my hair. I'm wearing a Budweiser shirt, but I don't even drink. Honestly, it's just a hot mess, but this is where we're at. So I last talked with you guys 2 days ago, and I only had, well, wait, I think it was just yesterday. I just talked with you guys yesterday morning, and I had just like a tiny bit left. I was able to finish it yesterday, and then I planned to watch the movie. Couldn't do it because there was a basketball game on that I wanted to watch. I'm sorry I chose that instead. So it's the next day and I want to watch this movie so bad. So I'm interested to see like how this is now played out in the movie when I can actually grasp what's going on and not just like enjoying a wizard movie. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Okay, wow. So I feel like I better organized my thoughts on this book movie situation. With the last one, there was just so much. Let's just start with that, so much. So I had a book notes section, a movie notes section, and then I didn't really take time after the movie ended to combine the two in order to like better communicate everything that I wanted to, because there was just so much left out or changed or whatever in the 5th book movie adaptation that I definitely didn't vocalize stuff after the movie. I just like jumped into talking about it, and then that means I just missed things. So if you want me to rant about Order of the Phoenix and like all the things that I wish we actually had, feel free to message me. I will talk about it. But with this one, guys, it's so bad. So I have all the book stuff, and then we have a break, and then I start with all the movie stuff, and then at the end I have like a combination thing, like overall notes. So that's what I'm going to focus on here. Oh my gosh. Well, there wasn't a ton different, right? Because the book is a little smaller than the 5th one, so it kind of helps, but there's definitely some tweaks that I feel like we missed out by not having it. And then there was some stuff that I'm just glad we didn't have. Like, literally the first one, I'm so glad that we did not have the whole Bill and Fleur, that plot line of them being like married and stuff, and like Mrs. Weasley wanting Bill to actually be with Tonks. Like, the sad part of it is the fact that we didn't have the Tonks and Lupin plot line of their little like romance thing. Like, ugh. But we also didn't get to see like Tonks grieving and Harry, you know, seeing that. And yeah, I guess like that was kind of a part that's missed as well, just more than, well, Lupin and like love. So that part kind of sucks. But the other part that I'm glad we didn't have is the whole ministry plot line. I think I just would have been annoyed. I couldn't remember, so like when I made notes about the book, it was like things that I wanted to see if they were in the movie as well, and things I just kind of wanted to remember how they played out in the book. So I really didn't remember a good chunk of this movie heading into reading the book and then even heading into watching this. So I was glad that we had the whole Muggle situation in the beginning. I think it would have been fun if we would have had the Ministry of Magic having to talk with the minister, like in the Muggle world, like the Prime Minister. I feel like that like would have been fun, but I feel like it definitely would have taken away from the overall like theme and vibes, the darkness of this movie. So like I get it. I get it. That's fine to cut out, but it's just like that was a part I kind of enjoyed with the book. I have this kind of like an overarching thing, but I just really grew to appreciate Harry and Hermione's friendship in this movie. So, I mean, I think when I was younger, I definitely was like, man, I just wish, you know, Hermione and Harry would have been together. And then like this time around, reading the books, watching the movies, I've just really grown to appreciate their friendship. And I think in this movie particularly, it really shows them just being there with each other. It's just so precious because Hermione's really understanding her feelings for Ron. Ron's kind of getting there, boys. And then we have Harry, you know, having these emotions for Ginny. And they just have like some sweet moments, you know, like Harry and Hermione kind of dealing with that and just being there for each other. And I don't know, I greatly appreciated that. We didn't have the visit, so we got, you know, these glimpses of Dumbledore and Harry going and visiting these memories, right? And we didn't get the House of Gaunt, I believe is what it's called, and it's, I think, Voldemort's like grandfather maybe. And I don't know, I just thought that really helped. I feel like all those little memories really help shape the viewer, the reader, to understanding more of Voldemort. So I kind of wish that we did have that. I'm like, okay, what, you add like another 5-minute scene? Like, I feel like we could have made it snappy and really got to the point, but okay. I love the way I write notes. It literally is like Bellatrix and Wolf Dude. I think his name's like Greyback, I have no idea. But I do not remember in the book, like the Death Eaters, Bellatrix, and whatever that wolf guy was, coming to the burrow and just like setting it on fire at Christmas. I'm sorry. I just don't remember that happening. Maybe it did, and I just didn't write it down from the books, and then I forgot. I have no idea. I was like, whoa. Okay, they came, literally set Ron's house on fire, and like Harry and Ginny are, well, Harry takes off to go after Bellatrix, and then Ginny follows Harry, and slowly the rest of everyone else is like coming to join. I have no idea, but I just don't remember that happening in the book, and I'm like, what did this do? Like, what did this add? And if it's in the book and I'm like just ranting about this, awkward. If it was in the book, just cut it out. In the movie, who cares? We could have had the scene with the House of the Gaunt. Or House of Gaunt, whatever the heck it was called. I don't know. We could have cut that out, setting someone's house on fire for no reason. Literally no reason. Wait, comment. That first Harry and Ginny kiss, quite different, ain't it? Oh my Lanta. In the book, we have the battle between Harry and Draco, Snape coming in and being like, oh my god, detention for like a month or whatever. And then because of Harry having that detention, he misses the Quidditch game. Ginny's very excited they won, and like Harry's excited that they won, and she like just runs up and like hugs him or something, and like he just plants one on her. And I was like, I remember reading that in the book, and I was like, I'm so like I froze. I just like had to stop everything and like make notes, because I was like, what? He just like plants one on her in the middle of the room, and like Ron instantly gives like a thumbs up, pretty much, like, yep, okay. So like that was crazy. But then in the movie, it's so different. So we don't like, we have the Draco Harry scene of them, you know, fighting. Harry uses one of the Half-Blood Prince's spells from the book, and then Snape comes in and like demands more about the book. Well, wait, in the book, Snape demands more about the book and like where's it at, and then Harry has to go and hide it, right? He has to go find the book. But in the movie, he already has the book. Snape doesn't really touch on that. He's just like, get out of my sight, pretty much. And so Harry goes back to his friends. Ginny's there as well, and Ginny offers to help him go and like hide it. So they go to that room of requirement, but it's like full of a bunch of misfit things, in my opinion, things that shouldn't be found or whatever, you know. And it's there that Ginny goes to hide it, and she comes back and just kisses him, and I'm like, okay, so I mean, timeline's still there, like it's still right after the whole Draco encounter and Snape encounter, but like the vibes are very different. Like, can we just acknowledge that the vibes of that first kiss, very different. But that was an interesting scene, an interesting like addition for the movie, because throughout the entire movie we're seeing Draco constantly attempt the stuff with the cabinet and bringing stuff in, like transporting stuff out, bringing stuff back in. And the last attempt that we saw with Draco was him sending off a bird and the bird coming back dead. And so when Harry and Harry and Ginny are in that room, there's a live bird that comes out. And like, as the viewer, we see like, ah, crap, Draco's done the damn thing. So I really enjoyed that part of the adaptation, because obviously the book, we just weren't getting Draco's involvement throughout everything. It was just like a plot twist at the end when you read about what he was doing. So I did like kind of seeing that throughout the movie. Wait, what did I wrote? Okay, yeah. So Dumbledore, I put Dumbledore's last hurrah with the fire scene after getting the Horcrux. Iconic. Like, he's over here whooshing and firing, and I'm just like, the last hurrah. Like, that was so good. That was so good. That's not really something different, right? Like, but it's just precious. The final scene, and this is what I thought I remembered when I was looking, like when I was reading through the book of this final Dumbledore Draco Death Eater scene, Snape's involvement, right? So the biggest difference we have at the end of the movie is Dumbledore and him get back from their Horcrux adventure. Dumbledore sends Harry to go find Snape. He's like, no, I don't need Madam whatever, the Humphrey or whatever. I need Snape. So Harry goes to find Snape, but on the way down the stairs is when he hears Draco come up, and Dumbledore, I don't know if I said this, I'm all talking about the book, but Dumbledore silently like petrifies Harry, and so he's like put up against the wall, he's silent, he can't do anything, can't move, can't like anything, right? And he's just stuck like that until the moment Dumbledore dies and he feels that release, so he feels like whoever cast that spell on him, you know, is no longer here, so therefore the spell is lifted. And I thought like that was just such a powerful moment. Like, I really like that part of the book. And in the movie, everything's just different, right? So Harry goes down, but Dumbledore's like, stay quiet, whatever. So like Harry literally has his wand down below. He can see up through like the different stairs and floors and whatever. And so Draco and Dumbledore, both book and movie, have the longest conversation of my life. Finally, the Death Eaters come, and they're like, Draco, do it, Draco, do it. And then the biggest difference from the book and the movie is in the book, I swear Snape just shows up, right? He shows up. Clearly, Draco's not going to do it. Snape does it. Bam. In the movie, Snape goes by Harry, and they have this moment. And, you know, Snape's like, shh, and then like, he goes up and he does the damn thing. And even in the movie, Dumbledore sees and makes eye contact with Harry right before he's gonna be. And I'm like, it was so powerful. Like, I really like that part of the movie. Like, I like the interaction with Snape, and then Dumbledore, like, seeing Harry and, like, having that interaction, that, like, quiet eye contact interaction. I think I liked the part of the book where Dumbledore had silently petrified Harry, and he couldn't, like, he had no choice but to do nothing, because the way the movie ends is, like, Harry makes a comment, like, I just watched and I did nothing. But in the book, like, he had no choice, but in the movie, it's like he had a choice and he just didn't do something. So, I don't know, it's a blend of the two that I really liked how parts of the movie played out that scene and parts of the book played out that scene. It was just so powerful. I can't believe it. Like, that was really good. Something like ending this on, like, a happier note. I love these damn teenagers going through it with all those emotions and, like, all the crushes and all the everything. Like, I was laughing. It was so awkward. Snape's also hilarious. Like, some moments of, like, comebacks and stuff that Snape has, I was laughing. Like, I was laughing. It was good. I really enjoyed watching it, I guess. And, like, this is definitely the first movie that I've learned a lot more. Okay, I understand so much more that went into this rather than Dumbledore dies. So I'm very excited to read the final book, and I know obviously there's 2 movies a part of the final book, so I'm just going to finish the entire book and then we'll watch both movies. Well, not in one night, but I just want to finish the entire book and not have to think about where it splits and, like, oh, only read up to a certain point. No, we're just going to finish the 7th book and then jump into the movies. I love the current makeshift tripod that you guys are on. Hello, hi. I have not updated this video, but last night I started Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. So I only read about 100 pages last night, and I meant to talk with you guys today, like this morning, but that didn't happen. That's on me. I just can't get over this, guys. You are sat on top of a Pringles can. But this tripod, the height, perfect. Anyways, I got 100 pages in yesterday. And it was at least just to get me going, right? This is a, like, 750 page book, and I created the goal to finish this in, like, under 48 hours essentially. So yesterday was Thursday, I started it last night, and then by Saturday night, tomorrow night, I wanted to finish it. So I'm making my way through it. I had work today, but I was able to go to a coffee shop this morning and have a little time before I needed to do work. So I had read a good chunk this morning, and then when I got home this afternoon, I've just continued on reading. So I'm currently about 400 pages in. I'm a little over the halfway point, like 52%. Book 5, I think, is still my favorite. Like, this has been fine and fun, the first half of this, but even on this first half, I'm like, I know book 5 of this series is still my absolute fave. I think in this, we're definitely getting more about Dumbledore. I don't recall that much being revealed to us about Dumbledore in the book. I mean, definitely things are slowly and quickly, revealed to us in the movies. Like, I know that, but I think we get a lot more in here, so we'll see. We'll talk, obviously, once I end up watching the movie and everything. But, yeah, the first half, so good so far. And I'm just going to watch basketball while I continue to read. It's nice to have it on in the background. That's my update. I felt bad that I really hadn't filmed much of me reading this and then talking about it in any way, in any updates. So I at least want to have something here. I may update you guys once again before I finish it, but maybe not. Maybe I'll just binge this, and then the next update will be, hey, I finished it. Let's watch the movie. We'll see. Well, guys, I did it. I finished Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Last night, I was just sat several hours just sitting there turning pages. I was so immersed in this story. I think I was definitely motivated to finish it. I was, but I was also just very interested to see the story play out because there's elements of this that I can just play out in my head from like movie scenes, and I think that's just like really, it's a cool experience. But I definitely noticed differences like in the end, kind of the last few chapters. We'll see, I guess, watching the movies how that will translate, because just reading it I was like, I just don't think that's how it was portrayed on screen. So I'm very interested, I guess, to see that side and then be able to actually make the call if I like the book play out more than the movie. So there's that. I will check in with you guys whenever we are ready to start Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Okay, hopefully editing JC makes this much less yellow than the raw footage because, wow, the viewfinder right now, haunting, haunting. Anyways, I just finished Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, so I just have a couple things I'll talk about right now, but I feel like it makes the most sense to finish Part 2 and then kind of have a more cohesive book to movie adaptation thought process. So not too much to talk about. Like all of the movies up to this point, I'm not really going to nitpick on the small things that are different, but more kind of the bigger plot lines that to me like made a difference in the adaptation. So the first one is about Hermione, because in the beginning, in the movie, she uses the Obliviate spell, charm, whatever, and that completely like wipes her from her parents' memory, 100%. Like, what the heck? But in the book, I swear, she only kind of, like, alters some things and then, like, heavily suggests that her parents go to, like, Australia or something. And I like that because she even notes, like, and I can always undo it, like, if, like, the opportunity presents itself. Like, if they accomplish what they want, like, she can go get her parents and, like, undo what she's done. But I know the Obliviate thing is, like, wiping the memory, right? And she, like, removes herself from all the photos and everything. And I just, like, really liked how it was in the book because I think just from a future of the world, from a reader's perspective, like, kind of just projecting into that future, I like the idea of Hermione getting her parents back. So, yeah, that was just, like, something that I remembered from the movies. And when I read in the book, I was like, I don't think that's how it plays out when they make the movie. And I was right. And I was just, like, I like the book part better. The next thing is about when they take Harry. So overall, like, honestly plays out like pretty much the same. But the thing that was interesting to me that they did differently in the movie was about Hedwig. So in the book, wasn't it like Hedwig was in his cage and he was hit and the cage fell, so Hedwig fell with it, you know, like inside the cage and then like died, and Harry's like, oh my god, we gotta go after him, right? And then like he can't because Hagrid is the one driving or whatever, and he's like, no, we gotta continue, right? But in the movie, Hedwig tried to save Harry and like protect Harry and then was killed, and they used that as like the excuse as to why the Death Eaters kind of realized which Harry was the real Harry. But I like that in the book, Harry was kind of given away because he used the Expelliarmus or something like that, like to get, like to protect himself. He did not use the killing spell, and people were like, that's kind of Harry's signature spell. And I kind of like that. Like, I like that kind of part of Harry because it's just showing that Harry is not a murderer, not a killer, not an evil being, not an evil soul. And so I kind of wish that they just would have played that out. I feel like they didn't shorten the scene by going the other route, but it kind of was like cool seeing Hedwig try to like protect Harry, and that's how he's killed, and better than like a cage taking him. But I still like that the giveaway was what spells Harry chose to use against people trying to kill him. So that's something, it's kind of hard because I like a mixture of both, I suppose. Why not just have both? Why not just have both? Why not change how you did about Hedwig, but also have the spell thing about Harry, you know? So that was just something that I noticed different that I kind of notice. Like, I feel like that kind of was a big enough change to me. Oh, in the book, Harry couldn't be Harry at the wedding. Like, at Bill and Fleur, whatever, at their wedding, like, Harry couldn't be Harry and be there. And I liked the conversations that happened because Harry wasn't Harry. You know what I mean? Like, in the book, Harry not being Harry just, like, allowed these conversations to happen. We got different pieces and different perspectives. But because they just let Harry be Harry at the wedding in the movie, then, like, the conversations were just played out different. Obviously, we got less because the book, like, they just left out stuff in the movie. But, I don't know, I just like the way the conversations were playing out in the book better than how they put it into the movie. And then I, like, randomly had a thought in the middle of this movie. Okay, does anyone but Harry have glasses? Like, I know Professor McGonagall and Dumbledore, like, they had reading glasses at times. But, like, any of the students, any of the professors, like, oh, okay, well, that one fortune teller one, she had those goggles. That's for sure. I was just thinking, like, was Harry the only student wearing glasses? Like, that's just, like, a thought I had. And I had to throw it out there because someone's got to know the answer to that. Or someone has to now, like, think about that. And when they watch the movies, they're going to be like, wait a minute. I don't know what time it is. I have no idea where my phone is. But I just wanted to watch part 1 tonight. And then I think I'm going to watch part 2 tomorrow or Sunday. So it's Friday today. But I think my friend's coming over tomorrow. So I won't have a chance to watch it. Because I don't want to stay up late to watch this. But I think then I'll have a little date in between. And then on Sunday I will finish part 2. Which will conclude this video. And conclude me doing the, like, read and watch for this entire series. Which is crazy. So this is a good part 1. Definitely, like, I want to be in the right mind space for the last part. Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like this was a lovely chat. I will see you for part 2. Oh my gosh, guys. The movie's over. That was crazy. Well, it's just, like, such a weird feeling because obviously the movie's over. Part 2's over. The series is over. Like, we did the damn thing. And that's amazing. Although my nails are giving Slytherin. Red flag. Did I ever talk about this? Guys, when I took the test, I'm a Hufflepuff. And I have grown to just accept that about myself. Okay, like all the other movies, I took some random notes. I don't know where my phone is, and it may be dying. So I had my handy dandy little, like, pocket notebook thing. So I'm going to go over a couple of the things specifically about this movie, and then we'll kind of just wrap it up with some, like, overall thoughts of this journey. Oh my gosh. So we start off part 2 with Voldemort getting the Elder Wand, and then Harry, Hermione, Ron carrying on with their adventure after them escaping the Malfoy's mansion. So, I just wanted to note, like, I really like the flashes of Voldemort that we get in the movies, like, as, like, Horcruxes are being destroyed and stuff, and we get the flashes of Voldemort, not only, like, within Harry's mind. Like, I don't know, I just really liked how those played out because I feel like it just added to the movie and the experience of the story so much. So I just wanted to note that that's, like, it's not, like, huge, right? Because that's not altering the plot line, but we just gotta, like, see it in kind of real time. I don't know, I like that part. I just wrote here that I love Neville. And, like, that's just such a valid statement. Like, just give it a round for Neville for so many parts of the series. Like, he is by far the bravest guy. It makes the most sense that he was the one with the sword at the end. Like, God bless Neville. Oh my gosh. Like, as if you guys can just read the notes. So, I just don't remember this being a thing in the book, but just in the movie, when Harry comes back to Hogwarts, he like confronts Snape in the Great Hall. Like all the students come and Snape's like, hey everyone, beep boop bop, if you know where Harry is, like you gotta tell me. And like Harry just comes out and confronts him. Oh my gosh, and he's just like, how dare you stand where he stood? Oh my gosh. And then McGonagall, Professor McGonagall, biggest slay ever. She just starts, and then Snape's like, I'm out of here. I love her. I love her, and I love that scene. I do not think that was in the book. I feel like in the book, Harry came, he like went to the hall or whatever, but he's like in Gryffindor or something, and then McGonagall came and was like, Harry. But I also just love her in those movie scenes because she was just like, Harry, it's so nice to see you. Like, why was I crying? Why was I crying? Like, it was so bad. It was just so emotional for no reason. I think I literally wrote that. My last note on this first page is like, why am I crying? Yep. Oh, okay. I just don't think this was the part of the book either, but just I can totally see them adding all these different things for like the different fight scenes and everything. Sorry, focus, focus. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All the professors being like beep boop bop and like puts the little dome around Hogwarts. So cool. Just like visually. And I love in the movie McGonagall being like, I always wanted to do that spell when she made like the stone soldiers like kind of come to life to protect Hogwarts. I just love that. Like I was just like, that's my favorite thing that I know is not in the book, like her saying that line, but it's in the movie, and we just like adore that. It's like one of my favorite lines of the movie. And I just really liked, I think I noticed this later, but with all the fight scenes happening, it was just so magical and so cool to see all the different elements of Hogwarts and Hogwarts grounds protecting the students and protecting the school. Like we see when they start marching the grounds, like the vines and stuff of the ground coming through. I don't know. It's just like Hogwarts is special, right? And you know, Dumbledore says over and over again, like help will be provided to those who ask for it at Hogwarts. And I'm just like, I don't know, it's just so cool. Like I really liked the various fight scenes and everything they did to kind of bring that to life, because we don't get a lot of that in the book because we're just like trying to follow Harry. Like what's Harry doing? Is he gonna get these Horcruxes or not? So we don't get a ton of really like playing out the battle scenes. So I definitely like that part of the movie. I don't even know half these notes. I'm like scribbling in the dark. I mean, of course they had to do this in the movie, but I just thought it was so funny, like a direct comparison, right? So we have Ron and Hermione that go and get the thing, the thing to kill the Horcrux. And so they went down there. Ron like speaks the snake language. I'm like blanking on the terms here, but they go to kill it, right? Immediately after Hermione kills it, they just start making out. And I'm like, you guys, we do not have time for this right now. Like, I'm glad you guys are having, like, a come to Jesus moment, but, like, listen, we gotta go. Like, can you just, like, not make out in this snake dungeon? Can you just do it on your own time? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, y'all, happy for you, but speed up the process here. I like, laughed when that happened. And then, like, my literal next bullet point. I love that they just give Harry and Ginny 5 seconds. I'm like, no, this is exactly what we need. And I love that moment, honestly, because we do not have that, I believe, in the book. But they see each other, like, they run past each other. They have a little kiss, right? It's like 2 seconds, max. And then he's just, like, looking at her, and she's just like, I know. Like, he doesn't have to be in that moment and, like, spill out his entire heart for her right then. She's just like, I know. Like, we'll talk about this later. And I'm like, smart woman. And he's like, yeah, I gotta go. Like, 5 second scene. I'm like, no, that's what we needed. These are why those two are the smartest, right? And I just love that moment, honestly, for Ginny, because, like, she's just so mature, right? She's like, no, we have places to be. And Harry's like, yeah, me too. And like, I don't know. It's just better than Ron and Hermione making out in the dungeon. Absolutely ridiculous. I do not remember this. I mean, it may have happened in the book, and I'm just like, over my head. Oh my gosh, in the movie, when they get stuck in the room of requirement and like, Crab, Goyle, I don't know which one of the stupid ones that set on fire. Anger management issues. Anyways, I love that Harry's like, we can't leave them. And so it was not the one that set everything on fire. It was Draco and the other kid. One of Crab and Goyle's are missing. I have no idea where one of them is. But nonetheless, I love that Harry's like, we can't we can't let them die. And Ron's like, he's joking, right? Hermione, he's joking. Love that scene. But I love that, like, Harry's like, no, we can't. Like, I know Draco's, like, my arch nemesis, but we can't let them die here. So he takes Draco. Ron takes the other kid. I can't really remember. I think so. And, like, immediately Draco takes off once they're on the other side. But I'm like, I love that scene. I do not remember that being a part of the book, but I loved that scene in the movie. I just thought it, again, so those little things that are in there to remind us of Harry's character. 10 out of 10. This isn't something that, like, changes the plot, right? But I love this scene, and it was Dumbledore's brother, so I guess technically also a Dumbledore, shows up at the battle scene, right? Like, this happens in the book. We just gonna visualize the movie scene of it. Oh my god, he literally performs like a Patronus on steroids. Coolest thing ever. Like, I was literally yelling, like, okay, most powerful wizard in the world. Like, that was so Albus Dumbledore coded. Oh my gosh, that scene was iconic. Like, that was so cool. I love that scene. Oh my gosh. I'm like, give me more of that. Then we have the Snape scene. Right in the heart, guys. Right in the heart. Oh my, I'm gonna start crying. I'm gonna do it. Okay. Okay. This is what I remember writing about the part 1 is about the Patronus. And I got it, like, confirmed in part 2, but about Snape having the doe Patronus. And I love when Harry's having his moment with Dumbledore in, like, the afterlife or kind of afterlife or whatever. And Harry's like, hey, Snape and my mom both had a doe. That's curious. And Dumbledore's like, no, it's not. I was like, no, I love that. No, I love that. I kind of would like that better explained to me. So if you guys, like, whose Patronus was it leading him to the sword? Was it his mother's or was it Snape's somehow? Like, can someone please explain that to me? I could Google it, but I feel like we could just have a moment here, you and me together. So I just love that though, because I'm like, he loved her so much, and him being like, Harry, look at me, as he's dying, and it's like, you have your mother's eyes. Oh, I lost it. This, like, it's then that we see Snape's history and Snape's mind and Snape's experiences, and where Harry learns more of, like, the truth, and, like, more of the truth is exposed to him, I guess. And this is where we learn to, like, I wouldn't say hate Dumbledore, but have a bit of a dislike. And then obviously the more well-rounded understanding of Snape. But oh my Lanta, guys. I was just like, okay, 2 more notes. Only in the movie did I really connect. Like, I know I read this, but it's like I didn't connect that Dumbledore really had all 3 pieces of the Deathly Hallows, right? So he had the Elder Wand. Duh. He had the Resurrection Stone, because that's what he gave to Harry in the little Quidditch thing. You guys know what I'm talking about. That was me flying and making noises. But then also he is the one that technically, like, had the cloak from Harry's father and then, like, gave it to Harry, right? Like, he had all 3. And that's not really talked about, which is weird. Like, in the book, we definitely talk about the invisibility cloak. Like, oh my god, Harry's is literally that. Like, guys, like, Harry's cloak is, like, above everything else. Like, his is the 3rd thing. Like, that's the 3rd thing. So, I just don't remember them really discussing that in the movie. I'm like, that seems relevant, but okay. And then the last note I have is just, like, the iconic scene that, thank God they give it in both, like, the book and the movie. But Molly Weasley being the most iconic queen we've ever met, killing Beatrix. She says the iconic line, kills her, and smiles. And I'm like, oh my god. Like, that scene, Bellatrix deserved it. Like, that was so Bellatrix killing Sirius coded. Like, ha ha ha, dead. Like, that was Sirius when Bellatrix killed him. And, like, that was her when Molly killed her. And I'm like, I just love that scene. I just love that scene. Like, that was my last note about this specific movie. I didn't write it down because it's the very kind of, like, last part. But I felt like it was different in the book and the movie where Harry kind of pieces together how the wand didn't belong to Voldemort. despite Voldemort killing Snape. And then I think in the book, Harry, like, spills it out to the world. Like, we have a whole damn audience for him spilling that out. Like, am I remembering that correctly? And in the movie, he, like, really spells it out to the audience after the whole thing's done for, and he's, like, with Hermione and Ron, like, on the broken bridge, and they're looking out into sunset, you know? And I'm like, you know, I felt like it was more iconic when you're, it's like, up on your high horse, being like, you're literally an idiot, Voldemort. And I just thought that was awesome. So, if I'm remembering that correctly from the book, I like the book version better. And I will say in the book, Harry fixed his wand before he just, like, tossed the Elder Wand into the ocean. So, I didn't see that happen in the movie, and I'm like, bro, where's your wand? Like, from my POV, you don't have one. So, there's that. He's like, no, I don't want the Elder Wand, I want my wand, and I'm gonna fix it with this one, and then we're good. But yeah, in the movie, he's just like, bye. Snaps in half. What the hell? I love that movie. Okay, let's have some concluding thoughts, shall we? This has been such a crazy ride. Like, I know it took me forever to give you guys part 2, and in the future, I plan to probably just break it up into more parts if I have a series of, like, 4 books. Maybe just do 1 book at a time. Maybe do just 2 books at a time. That way you guys get the video quicker, and I'm less intimidated by the process of filming, reading, all of that. So that's definitely my plan moving forward. But as far as this Harry Potter journey, as big as it was, I think this was the perfect series for me to start out with because I love this world so much. And I hadn't read the entire series before. I only made it up through like half of book 4, maybe all of book 4 at one point. I've seen the movies so much though. Like, I absolutely love this world with all my heart. So I think this was perfect for me to just dive into and really enhance my love and appreciation for this world and all the characters and the plot. Like, I just feel like I understand everything so much more and on a way deeper level because of watching the movies while understanding more of the deeper context in all of the books. I couldn't recommend it enough. Like, if you love Harry Potter, I totally recommend one by one reading the book, watching the movie, and like really thinking about everything. It's so much. So now that I have read every book and watched every movie, I still believe that movie 4 is my favorite. And I think it's because it is the middle of the 2 contrasts that we have, right? So in the first 3 books, it is very much these kids in school. And yes, there's like a dark undertone of Voldemort's like a thing, but it's not that serious. Like, it's not that serious, right? It's still kids in school. And then 4 is that transition as we get into the very like darker parts of this world and the plot lines and everything that happens. Because 5, 6, and 7, pretty dark, pretty serious. So 4 is like that transition. So we still have these very fun elements of the wizarding world, but then we still have the very seriousness undertone of the plotline going on. Like, bro, Voldemort's back. Like, I love it. And I just love how that happens in the movie. I love watching it play out. But as far as the books go, book 5. Oh my gosh, book 5 is my favorite. I love that book so much. So much. Like, I felt it. So that's kind of interesting as far as having that many movies out for a series and having like a movie and a book favorite be different. I just kind of love that. I definitely already have other books that I want to do for this series, but please let me know if there's any specific books that you would like me to read and then watch their TV show movie adaptation. I hope you enjoyed this. I can't believe it's over. What a wild ride. With that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.